created for our,
Rich,
the based Anglo-Saxon
is Tom
created.
in here?
Right here.
Tom,
We're not,
Yeah,
they're gonna fuck it all up. These people.
you're Tom? I thought Tom was the young
We're
guy.
we have to start caring about race.
Who's the young
Here's
guy? What's his name?
Here's a scientific,
I'm Tom.
albeit
Who's the other guy?
by today's standard, primitive,
Go away.
but scientific
Can't you
and
tell me
cutting
who
edge
the
for
young
back
guy is
then
then?
argument for doing exactly that, for worrying about race.
Is there anybody younger than Tom, Rich? Who's the youngest?
You had Congress requesting reports, on what are the effects of the racial ethnic character of the country, and those reports are pretty explicit. That without keeping a white majority, this country, as Jefferson predicted, would come apart, or one of the races will be extinct. So you had a lot of that going on, like I said, up until about 100 years ago. You had just a few generations ago. But then you had World War I, and World War II, of course, and all the wars in between, or not between so much as afterwards. A lot of warrior class white men have been wiped out in these stupid wars for nothing. So anyway, I just thought it would be important to talk about the context that when people, when I saw that tweet from Richard Spencer. I mean, I get what he means by it, but it's like I said, it's not what they meant by it. They didn't mean, by no means did the founding fathers think that all men were created equally. They explicitly say otherwise. And why would they own slaves if they believed that? They didn't believe that. That wasn't the context of that statement. It's just that statement has been so appealing to Jews who have used it to create some kind of Disney patriot slop view of the founding and reenact it as if it were something it wasn't, something it never was, to suit their own purposes.
What was that, Matt?
Anyway, that's about it. I don't really have a big thing. I thought that most people would be getting drunk anyway. But let's hang out. I'll hang out and talk and chat for a little bit. We'll do super chats for right now, but I'll also just kind of hang out. It's just I got nothing going on. I got a bunch of fireworks. Oh, you know what I did, actually? If you guys follow me on X or on Telegram, you guys probably saw this. I made a racist video game. Actually, I've made two. Well, the other one's not racist. It's churro themed. But I was just dicking around with AI and Python and stuff, and I made racist Robotron. So it actually plays as someone who has played the actual Robotron a lot on arcade machines. I knew what I was doing. And so I made racist Robotron. I'll probably people were saying, "Oh, you should put this in the Steam store." First of all, to put anything in the Steam store, you have to spend like $100. Second of all, you have to wait like a month because it has to go through like this whole process. You have to like create like the landing. You have to do all this stupid shit, and then they probably have to make some changes to make it more different from Robotron than what it is now. It's too simple. And even then, you have to worry about you never know, someone's sitting on some fucking copyright, and because, oh, it's racist, they'll try to send you into litigation or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know if it's worth. And plus, and then the biggest problem, I don't know that there's a huge demand for racist Robotron. You know what I mean? It's like I like it, but I like Robotron. Robotron is not exactly like a big hot game right now. It's not like I'm making GTA 6 or whatever. It's like an arcade game from the 80s that I only made it because like I wanted to test the new quad stuff. And by the way, surprisingly good at certain things. Surprisingly good at certain things. But I wanted to see if I could, just as like a case study, I was like, can I actually make like a fully functioning, like all the bells and whistles, like, solid, polished game using mostly AI. I used AI to do all the sprites. I used Grok. Well, I had to edit them and stuff like that, but like to actually create the images. I used Suno for the music, the soundtrack. I used 11 Labs for the little pew-pew sounds and things like that. So I wanted to see, like, basically 100% of this game, 90% of this game is me just playing like a director with an army of robots doing all the bitch work. And it's surprisingly good. I'm not gonna. Well, you know what? Let me see. Maybe I got a video. And it's on. It's on. It's a still photo. Where's the video? I'll download it from my Telegram real quick. I can't find it on my computer. But in addition to that, because that went so smoothly, I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can make another game. And I did. I'll show you what that is here in a second. I said it's churro themed. Telegram. Yeah, so this is Robotron 1488. So as you can see, for those of you familiar with Robotron,
I got a defib for you, buddy.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Oh,
very
shit.
similar.
Oh, shit. Hold on.
But for legal purposes, it's not
Watch out.
Robotron. It's inspired. It's inspired by classic 80s arcade games. Also,
Thanks, man.
satire. It's satire. I am lampooning the original storyline of Robotron, which is kind of a white supremacist storyline. I look at it a certain way, which I chose to look at it that way. I am making fun of that. With a historical game that looks a lot like it. Anyway, so there's this, and then a new one.
Nice.
Appreciate that, buddy.
Again, I don't know.
If that guy.
Alright, this is the churro themed game. Big fat churro. Churro peed. Get it? Because he peed. See? Because he's, get it? Because urine. Anyway, this one's not as much polished, but I was like, let me see how hard it is to make one of these. And yeah, we got churro peed now. So I was thinking maybe there's not a market for racist Robotron, but maybe if I package like 3 little ones together, right? Make it racist arcade. Yeah, maybe even like a menu, make like a little menu system where like you go to an arcade and then there's 3 arcade machines. There's Churro Peed, there's Robotron 1488, which I might have to change the name even more. Call it like Globotron. Globotron 1488. Or something like that. And then, I don't know, something else. So, yeah, there's Churro Peed. Why is it not? Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Churro Peed. Anyway, let's take a look at some super chats, and then we'll hang out and chat for a little bit. Depending on what time it is. We got the Supreme Rabbi Satan says, "When is your next Declaration of Independence?" Well, that's the problem. Is when you think about what it took. See, here's the thing. You'll often hear people say, and this is an important distinction, and this is kind of why, despite what I was just saying about the fact that this was literally a white ethno-state 100 years ago, people say, well, why are you black-pilled then? If this was a white ethno-state 100 years ago, surely, we could make it a white ethno-state really easily. And it's like, well, no. Having a revolution was very difficult when it was a white ethno-state. It's not a white, that's the thing. Why do you think they wanted to make it not a white ethno-state anymore? Because just like with Amazon, knowing that they had the anti-diversity workforce, that the workforce wouldn't at least be able to together.
How old were you when you found out that this blue liquid makes fat come out in your pee within 24 hours? And better yet, the government is sending...
To put anything in the Steam store, you have to spend like $100. Second of all, you have to wait like a month because it has to go through like this whole process. You have to like create like the landing. You have to do all this stupid shit, and then I'd probably have to make some changes to make it more different from Robotron than what it is now. It's too similar. And then even then, you have to worry about the copyright holders of the original, even though it's a game from like almost 50 years ago now. I mean, it's from like the early 80s. you know, you never know. Someone's sitting on some fucking copyright, and because it's racist, you know, they'll try to send you into litigation or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know if it's worth. And plus, and then the biggest problem, I don't know that there's a huge demand for racist Robotron. You know what I mean? It's like I like it, but I like Robotron. Robotron's not exactly like a big hot game right now. It's not like I'm making GTA 6 or whatever. It's like an arcade game from the 80s that I only made it because like I wanted to test the new Claude stuff, and by the way, surprisingly good at certain things. But I wanted to see if I could, you know, just as like a case study, like, can I actually make like a fully functioning, like all the bells and whistles, like, you know, solid, polished game using mostly AI. I used AI to do all the sprites. I used Grok. Well, I had to, you know, edit them and stuff like that, like to actually do it. I used Suno for the music and stuff. I used Lebanon for the QQ sounds. So I wanted to see, like, basically 100% of this game, you know, no, 90% of this game is me just playing like a director with an army of it's surprisingly good. I'm not gonna. Well, you know what? Let me see. Maybe I got a video. It's on. It's on excellent. I'll download it from my Telegram real quick since I can't find it on my computer. But in addition to that, because that went so smoothly, I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can make it's a churro thing. Telegram. Yeah, so this is so as you can see, for those of you familiar with Robotron, but for legal purposes, it's not Robotron. It's inspired. It's inspired by classic 80s arcade games. Also, it is satire. It's satire. The original storyline of Robotron, which is kind of a white look at it a certain way, which I have chosen to look at it that way, and I am making fun of that with this satirical game that looks a lot like it. Anyway, so there's this, but then the new one. Again, I don't know that anyone's gonna fat churro. Churro peed. Get it? Because he peed. See? Get it? Because urine. Anyway, this one's not as much polished, but I was like, let me see how hard, see how hard it is to make one of these. And we got churro peed now. So I was thinking maybe there's not a market for racist Robocon. Maybe if I package like 3 little ones together, right? Make it racist arcade. Maybe like a menu, make like a little menu system where like you go to an arcade and then there's 3 arcade machines. There's Churro Feed, there's Robotron 1488, which I might have to change the name more, call it like Robotron. Or something like that. And then, I don't know, something else. So, yeah, there's Churro Feed. When's it not? Churro Feed. Anyway, let's take a look at some super chats, and we'll hang out and chat for a little bit. Depending on what time it is. We got the Supreme Rabbi Satan says, "When is your next Declaration of Independence?" Well, that's the problem. Is when you think about what it took. See, here's the thing. You'll often hear people say, and this is an important distinction, and this is kind of why, despite what I was just saying about the fact that this was literally a white ethno state 100 years ago, people say, "Why are you black pilled then? If this was a white ethno state 100 years ago, surely you can make it a white ethno state really easily." And it's like, well, no. Having a revolution was very difficult when it was a white ethno state. It's not a white. That's the thing. Why do you think they wanted to make it not a white ethno state? Because just like with Amazon, knowing that if they had a diverse workforce, that the workforce wouldn't as easily be able to band together and unionize to fight the management. That's the exact sport. That's
10-second tinnitus reversing method used by astronauts has doctors furious.
Hi everybody, I thought I would come on here because I am a clinical audiologist and I know a lot about tinnitus. And technically people are like, is it tinnitus or is it tinnitus? The medical correct term is tinnitus, but either way, it's fine. I'm just here to give you information about it.
Do you know that ringing noise in your ears? Well, it has nothing to do with your ears and everything to do with your brain. That noise is a warning sound from your brain telling you that certain brain cells have been damaged. And if you don't fix those damaged cells, you could be at high risk of dementia and brain damage. Sounds scary, right? Well, it is. Luckily, there's something you can do about it. It turns out top scientists had already discovered a cure for tinnitus. Years ago, Army generals often had a strong ringing sensation in their ear due to damage to the same brain cells that cause tinnitus. So their scientists set out to find a cure. And what they discovered may shock you. It turns out that repairing these cells and silencing that ringing noise is easy. All there is needed to do is a simple 5-second mute button method to silence the whooshing, hissing, or ringing sounds, all while revitalizing your brain naturally and quickly. After doing this method, the Army generals reported 0 ringing noise. Brain scans showed 99% repair for these damaged cells. This method was so powerful that pharma companies have silenced this information for years. And now, for the first time, independent scientists discovered this secret method and are releasing it to the public. Pharma companies are furious about the video these scientists produce, so we don't know how long it will be up for. Make sure you watch the short video presentation today before your health gets worse. Click the Learn More button below while it's still available.
same formula. It's why they're doing it. It's the exact same formula that they're using on citizens of America right now. Is they want a diverse workforce, which is what you are. I mean, that's what you are. You're part of a workforce. You're not like a citizen. You're not like a shareholder, right? Your interests don't really matter. You're just like an employee, and they don't want you to unionize, because if you unionize, then you can fight against management. In fact, it's really the only way employees can ever have power is if they unionize, or if they go somewhere else, right? Like that's the two options, right? Like if you're in a company and then the boss makes the rules, and there's you can go and plead your case to your boss and tell him like I really don't like these working conditions. But ultimately, if the boss doesn't want something, that's it. And so your only choice as an employee is you keep working there and just complain about how it sucks all the time as you just keep working there. You try to form a union where you get enough people at that company together to where you actually have, political power enough to where you can negotiate and whatnot. But that's been made pretty much impossible. Or you leave and work for another company, or start your own company, that sort of thing. Now, obviously, for this metaphor to work, I don't necessarily mean that you leave the United States geographically, but I do mean that you start working on your own company. You cease to be an employee of the machine. And as more and more competent people leave these companies, they go under. As more and more white people check out from the machine and stop giving their expertise and their whiteness to a machine that hates them, the sooner it's going to fall. That company I was talking about earlier in the stream, the second that they started acting like assholes, and I can just tell you, it was Gateway. Remember when Gateway was a company? Gateway Computers with like the cow on the box. I worked tech support, and Ted Waite was the president of this company. He literally started it in his barn, I want to say in like South Dakota, or I don't know, somewhere. And he was like some hippie boomer, and they wanted to make money, and they were going public, and he hired these efficiency experts. Prior to the efficiency experts, everyone I worked with was white and was proficient in computers enough to where they were, I would say, almost all overqualified. But it was a cushy job. You sat there on the phone, you got like massive discounts on computer stuff, which was almost, at a time when computers were very expensive. So almost in and of itself, that was great. If you were a nerd and you liked computer stuff, that was a good bonus right there. You got paid really well. I mean, the pay was good, the benefits were good, and there was no, like the atmosphere was super laid back. All they cared about was, did you fix the problem? Did you fix the problem that the person called up about? Good. Then good job. And that's what you got judged on. They would listen to your phone calls. And if you fix the problem, that's how they score. Oh, this guy really knows what he's doing.
Enjoy that.
After the efficiency experts were hired, they decided that customer service was a money drain. That you were paying all these people to answer phones, to fix people's computers, but that was just a loss. If you look at the balance sheet, you're paying like this building full of people, and they're not making money. And now you could easily argue, actually, the reason why people bought gateways, it wasn't because they were the best computers, because they weren't. It's because they came with free lifetime tech support. And it was at a time when people didn't know how to use computers. And so if you were some dipshit boomer that was buying their first computer, and you bought the cute Cowbox one, and you didn't know, because 90% of the phone calls you got were not actual hardware or software problems, it was user error, you know. And so you were basically holding the hand of some, you know, stupid old person trying to walk them through using some part of the computer. And so they're paying, that's what they were paying for. So they were paying a little extra and feeling good about the Cowbox computer that they got, because when they couldn't figure out how to use the CD-ROM drive, they could call up this 800 number and some guy would tell them how to use the CD-ROM drive. And that would make them feel good about that Cowbox computer, and they would tell all their boomer friends, oh, get the Cowbox computer, because then if you don't know how to use it like me, because I'm a dumbass, you can call the 800 number and some nice young man will tell you how to use it. And so this was, that was the value to the company. The value to the company of having that service, even though it didn't show up in some balance sheet, was that you got goodwill from the customer base. They got, and that was included in the price. So even though you say like, oh, it's free customer service, you know, for life, like when they first started, it was for life, and then it was like 5 years, and then it became like 1 year, and then like that, yeah, as soon as the efficiency experts, just like in Office Space, as soon as they came in there, they made it hell. Not only did they make it to where they started here's the thing, they started timing our phone calls. It used to be, you might be on, like, these are old people. Some old lady's calling up who doesn't know how to sign on to America Online, and she keeps disconnecting the call because she keeps dialing up with the modem when you're on the phone with her, right? So it keeps dialing in your ear. Like, you could be on the phone with some old lady for like an hour trying to get her to fucking get on the internet, okay? And because that's what it took to like make sure she was never going to fucking call back again. Well, what happened was, because these efficiency experts got involved, they started timing all your phone calls, and they gave you an average time that you had to meet by the end of the week. And the average time was absurd. It was something like 7 minutes. And so if your average call time was exceeded 7 minutes, then you got doomed. And so what happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. People would start just immediately hanging up on a call the second it came through. Why? Well, because that call would register on the spreadsheet as having taken 2 seconds. And so it would make your average call time go down, because you had a call that was 2 seconds long. Well, what happens on the other end of that phone call? Well, the person who called up waited on hold for like an hour just to be hung up on immediately. And now the guy who used to be really happy because he got the Cowbox computer and the nice young man on the phone would spend 45 minutes with him fixing the stupid AOL problem he had, now waited like an hour and got hung up on. Now, if he doesn't get hung up on, he calls up and he gets someone that wants to get him off the phone in less than 7 minutes. Like at all costs. Because he's got to hit that fucking time. That insult to injury, the efficiency experts decided, well, that's just phase one. Now that we're getting them to get these people off the phone as quickly as
10-second tinnitus reversing method used by astronauts has doctors furious.
Hi everybody, I thought I would
humanly possible to get through all these fucking phone calls, so that we have to hire fewer people, because that was the idea. Well, if the phone calls are only 7 minutes long instead of an hour, we don't need as many people answering the phone. We can have far fewer people answering the phone, because we'll be getting through all the calls, not realizing that, no, you're going to have more calls now because people are getting hung up on, their problem's not getting fixed. So yeah, now instead of making like one 45-minute long call, they're making like 10 7-minute calls, you know? But anyway. So this the efficiency expert doesn't think about it because that's whatever it looks like on a spreadsheet is what they care about. Then they decided this was a brilliant idea. This is what made me quit. Then they thought, you know, it'd be great, you know, if we could make this make money. Yeah, and here's this great idea. How about after someone calls up, and if they don't get hung up on immediately, and they actually get through to somebody, and whether or not their problem's fixed doesn't really matter. Once the person is trying to get them off the phone, because 7 minutes is tick-tock, it's coming up. What if the person that fixing their problem then tries to sell them magazine subscriptions? I'm not shitting you. You were supposed to try to get them on AOL or whatever, and then be like, hey, by the way, do you like magazines? And not even computer magazines. It wasn't even like, hey, you want a subscription to PC Magazine or whatever they were, No, it was like, hey, you want a subscription to Time Magazine or Newsweek or something? Again, because that was a way for the efficiency expert to make it look as if this part of the company that on a spreadsheet was just bleeding money because it was, it's just a cost, would then be making money. Well, what happens when you do that? Well, no self-respecting, competent person in that kind of an environment is going to keep working there. Where, okay, now I used to get satisfaction out of my job because I was actually fixing people's problems, which made me feel good. I had the time to research problems I didn't know the answers to, so I'm also getting kind of an education for free, and I'm working with other people who are in a similar environment, and so there's a sense of camaraderie, and it's kind of nice. To everyone's stressed out, they all fucking hate their jobs. You're purposely not fixing people's problems because you know the problem's going to take too long to fix, and your call time average is getting too high, so you're just fucking getting them off the phone. It's a nightmare. And now you got to sell them magazines? No one that actually was qualified was going to work under those conditions. So that's exactly what happened. Everyone that was good at that kind of a job got the fuck out, including me. My case in particular, in fact, about half our team, I love that term, corporate boomers always like to make it, you're part of the team, Billy, like use that kind of language. But half my team quit after we watched Office Space as a team building exercise. I don't think they knew what the movie was about. They called us in. They're like, we're gonna get pizza. This is right in the peak of all this, hell that's going on at the job. And after the movie, uncomfortably, about half my quote-unquote team is standing back behind the building, up the Gateway building, smoking cigarettes, looking at each other uncomfortably, and then someone's just like, we work at Initech. We work at Initech. What the hell was that? And I went home that day and never came back. I watched that movie and I couldn't believe it was a movie about what was happening at where I worked. And I never went back to work. And I found out that the same was true of, we didn't, and by the way, not coordinated. We didn't talk, we didn't plan, none of us said, I'm not coming, maybe a couple jokingly, maybe, at work, but I never expected other people to not show up the next day. What happened to Gateway to Computer? I think the brand exists, like the little sticker that goes on some laptop that's not actually made by the entity that was Gateway back in the 90s, right? It's just a label. It's like Atari, right? You can buy Atari products, but it's not like Atari, like the company that existed in the 80s making video games. It's just like a a brand name that some other larger corporation will have. So if you buy like an Atari thing, it's just you're buying it from whoever bought it. You know, it's like Commodore. You can still buy Commodore stuff, you know, like all this stuff. So it's just another dead fucking brand name that I don't even know why they want. I guess some people might have. Maybe it has some brand recognition still. I don't know. But yeah, the company basically evaporated almost immediately after that. Almost immediately. Like it was crazy how quickly Gateway fell into obscurity. And they were peaking out. They were trying to compete with Apple. You guys might not remember this. And the only reason I remember is I worked there, and so I had to look at all the company propaganda. But in the same way, you know, we have Apple stores today. They had Gateway stores. Right at this peak, this was the peak of Gateway. They had Gateway stores in not just a few places, like in several, like pretty much every major city in the United States had a Gateway store. And they had Gateway specific products. They were branching out. They were trying to be like Apple. You know, had they survived, they would have had a Gateway phone or something like that, I'm sure. But no, they hired efficiency experts and tried to squeeze every fucking penny they could out of the company, and they squeezed it to death. And that is precisely what is happening we're in the process of that right now, I think, with this country. Is they're trying to squeeze all the productivity and every last fucking penny out of this country, just fleecing the people. But eventually, people will have enough. There's literally a bee. I don't know if you can hear that buzzing. Somehow a bee got in the house and is stuck like in one of those CFL bulbs, making a lot of fucking noise. You guys hear that? Like, drive me nuts. Should I do something about it? I'm just gonna act like it's not. Hopefully the AI podcast filter that I've got activated on the microphone filters that out. Hopefully it thinks it's like an electrical buzz or something like that. But anyway, yeah, that's basically that's a very long version of why it's difficult to have a revolution. At a company like that, that's, you know, I guess that's the thing is, at a certain point, once they've made the country just a shitty company that you're working for, right? That's basically, you know, what's the point of having, like, it's almost like, it's, if you think about a Gateway, right? It's not like me and the guys went back behind the building, took a smoke break, and thought to ourselves, how can we infiltrate management and work our way up in the company and eventually change it so that it's not like this? No, that's fucking stupid. That would have been that's like the stupidest plan ever, and it wouldn't have worked anyway, right? And another conversation we didn't have is we should try to.
Number 1 worst snacks for your waistline.
Olives has its own microbiome. It's loaded with the microbiome.
Get everyone together, and we'll band together and form a union, and then we'll tell them, no way, Jose. We're tired of all your crazy ideas like selling magazines to people when they want Texas. No, we didn't do that. We just said fuck this place. We said fuck this place, and it went on.
Oh, thanks, bro.
And because they turned this country
We'll catch the next
into a shitty place to work, I feel like you're gonna have the same kind of solution available. You know, you can fantasize about what I would do if I was in charge. You're not in charge. You're not in charge. The Negress and the Mexican, or the Jewish Mexican on the Supreme Court have people like that are in charge. So having a revolution, when people say stuff like, well, it was only, I think I even used to say this sometimes, where all you need is, what's the, it changes, like I've heard figures between 10 and 25%. All you need is 10 to, maybe let's say 15% of the population. That's all who really fought in the Revolutionary War against the British. And so therefore, if you want to have another revolution, you don't need to kill everybody. All you need is like a good 15% of the population. And you can rise up and overthrow the country, because that's what you needed in a white ethno-state. That's what you needed in a white ethno-state where, you were going to have some people that were going to be loyalists. You're going to have some people that weren't going to go along with things, and maybe because they thought that there's no possible way you could win against the British, and so they decided to go side with who they thought was going to win, and then, obviously ended up being wrong, but they were just some people making a calculation that way, and maybe they actually did feel that they were just being loyal to the king or whatever. But generally speaking, in a scenario where everyone is white, you're going to have most people are just going to go with whatever the white people are doing, other white people are doing, that's not going to be the same case. Let's just create a fake scenario here, where and first of all, good luck even accomplishing this, but let's just say you did get a good 15% of white Americans willing and able to fight an actual revolution, like an actual revolution, as in like forming militias, like armed militias, maybe even somehow getting access to heavy weapons and things like this, and actually trying to confront the United States military. Well, again, this is another reason why it's different is the British, one of the problems they had was they didn't have like this massive military presence in the United States, or what is now the United States, in the colonies, right? And so they had to bring their military and all the logistics and all that stuff that was involved with going across the Atlantic Ocean. That was like a big deal. That was like a big obstacle in them fighting the war. That wouldn't be an obstacle for the United States military, because all their bases are here, already. Everything's already here, and not just everything is already here, but all the law enforcement is on their side, and all the diversity would be on their side. So you would be, it's a totally different situation. It's a totally different scenario where you're not just, it's not like we're a colony of the United States, and we have to, and with a colony that has, minimal military presence, and all you have to do is fight them off and get the locals to be on your side. We're talking like you'd have to have way more than 15 to 20% of people on board with this. For an actual civil war, you'd have to pretty much make it a race war. You'd have to have all whites on board with it, and you'd have to make you'd have to make it so that your skin was a uniform type of a situation. There would be no such thing as a CivNet civil war. Zero possibility of that happening. So, yeah, that's the problem. Supreme Rabbi Satan. All right, we got SJS Whale. SJS Whale. SJSW. Oops. Fuck. SJS Whale says, keep up the good work. Well, I appreciate that. All right, then we got Gorilla Hands. Gorilla Hand says, I hope everyone had a good 4th of July. The past week has been bittersweet for me. This holiday has always meant something to me as much as Christmas and Thanksgiving. Now I don't feel that way anymore. For most of adult life since I became red pilled, with the wars in the Middle East, COVID lockdowns, and the Jewish question have jaded me. This feeling has been depressing me, especially since I was a flag-waving America fuck yeah guy. I hope for our people, nation, and Western civilization. I think we can turn it around. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not black-pilled on white people. I'm black-pilled on the ethno-state that was the United States 100 years ago. What was still possible then is not possible now. And people need to come to terms with that. And thinking that if we just win the midterms, guys, or if we just get this guy elected president, or if we just do... No. We are so far beyond that. The political solutions are all gone. You had plenty of political solutions around the turn of the century, and really once those, and think about how much the character of the country must have changed. Not just because obviously having Supreme Court justices as part of their majority opinion explicitly writing that they thought the founding fathers intended there to be an unbreakable wall between the superior white race and all others. We're talking like that's, think of just what the average racial awareness and narrative was 100 years ago, and that when you have the Supreme Court writing opinions like that, I mean, just what the average person was like. And even back then, you had people like...
You've got a great offer this week to commemorate the 250th anniversary.
We have our big buy one, get one free sale.
Madison Grant, who are starting to notice things chipping away. They were starting to notice the problem with importing all the Ellis Islanders and importing all the Jews and just like, that there was going to be issues. And here they are. We're living it now. We're now living it. And so the time to address those problems was then. And it's like, you can't smoke your whole life and get lung cancer and then think, well, if I just quit smoking, it's like, no, you already did it. You already smoked like 3 packs a day for 20 years. It's done now. Like the time to not get cancer was like 20 years ago, not smoking those 3 packs a day. But you did it, and so now you just have to live with your decisions. And unfortunately, we have to live with other people's decisions. That's just the reality. And I get what you mean by being patriotic and being from because that's how my upbringing was too. I still remember when I was a kid playing with sparklers at the 4th of July parade, and also at the big fireworks display where they would have it down at the man-made lake, the little southern area that we lived in, and everyone was fucking white. Everyone was white. And in fact, that's the funny thing is that should have been a clue right there. Is when I went to school. This was when I was elementary school. I went to California, and in school, the racial, the white replacement was already happening. And so in my classroom, I treated the classroom different kinds of, it was like the fucking UN, you know, different kinds of black people. Like we had, you know, like slave blacks, and then we had like blacks from like Africa. But you know, it's funny. That was the racial reality. Why the plague was it was like Vice City. I've been hired by sucks that the
by the legs, that drops. Hey, everybody, I got you.
My boss went from being like a nerdy German to some like quarter-town white chick. It didn't even have like the basics of other stuff. Yeah, I think that everyone kind of feels that. Most of the people that are on the right. wagon. Little wagon. Little wagon says, thank you for the screen. Well, thank you. For the generous dono. Supreme Rabbi Singh says, fireworks hit you in the balls, it hurts really bad. It's, not a bunch of fireworks. It's very dry right now. It hasn't rained a little bit, and there's just enough wind to where, like, I don't feel. I'm probably not going to set up any fireworks. What you might think, you can go down there. There's actually stuff. Yeah, look, just look. Like I said, it's okay to celebrate 4th, especially if it's oh shit. If anything, like, just look at it less. I feel like here's part of the there's a sense of finality, right? There's a sense of
I got a D-Piz.
You know, like that's the part that they utilize. They act as if this.
I got you, buddy.
Soon that boomers got together in this equality state and this democracy and then keep dying for Israel and slavery and celebrate human suffering.
Sourdough bread. Almost all of our in the United States is
Everybody all set?
My wife just turned 74.
Anyone
I'll turn
feel
74
like health
in 2 months. None of us have artificial hip joint things that we associate with getting older. My wife and I are over in Europe. Each day we walk 8.
Where's the medic? Where's the medic?
I'm going to give
Medic, where you at?
Where are you?
Hey, do you feel
on this road.
Medic, here. Take
Are you sure?
take it. I just hit the EXP.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Most people that the lining of your colon, the cells that line your colon, 80% of their nourishment comes from you. Most of us don't make enough either because we don't feed these bacteria. And I'm wondering why 30-year-old people are getting colon cancer.
Hey, thank you. No problem.
Key aspect of neurobiology. And most doctors have
wow, thank you.
Instead of following the blanket advice doctors give to everybody, you need to figure out which gut type you are and start from there. That's when you can start to notice some big changes in your health. If you feel sluggish, bloated, or gassy after eating, if you struggle with consistent weight gain, or if you feel completely drained of energy even first thing in the morning, there's a very good chance you'll fall into one of the 3 major gut types. Finding out your gut type is the first step to getting your bloating, weight gain, or low energy under control. And I've included a link to a simple quiz you can take to learn yours. It's only a few easy questions. It'll take you less than a minute to finish, and at the end, you'll receive custom-tailored information about your gut type. This information is completely free. You don't even have to enter your email to unlock it. The best part is you can take it to learn and put it to use today. So go ahead and click on the link below to take the gut type
basically all the things that ruined the original we're all being granted. I think that people just need to realize that look, there was no finality. There wasn't. And not all the way. There's a lot of, just like with every experiment, right? Like anytime you do some new experiment, regardless of what it is, you always learn from it.
It's not a steam box? Oh, okay.
Explicit with their language. They'll have little asterisks.
Oh, we're still Bitcoin. Okay.
Alright, then we got... It's getting dark, says. Hey Devin, thanks for all the awesome streams. I'm in the replay gang, so I'll be watching this later. Anyways, you should check out the 1984 it is the first and largest bioattack They had every payphone tapped, huge compound, hidden rooms full of recording equipment. I don't know if there's more to the story. I think it's just like a crazy boomer quote.
Where's that third one?
Well, we didn't do like a stream exclusively on this. It was a stream with a couple of different quotes. I forget what it was. But, yeah, I think that there was post-World War II, it really ramped up in the 70s. America and I guess it always kind of is.
Got it.
Right?
We got it? Nice.
It's definitely been like a very fertile ground for religious movements. And in a free internet world, a lot of that stuff is way easier to do because it's way easier for people to fake miracles, to lie to people that there's no way they can verify what they're saying. Or get away with really crazy shit in one state, and then and then you drive that to the next state, and then get to the next state. So there was a lot of weird cults that springing up to us. Another phone reversing. Alright, then we have the Supreme Rabbi Saint says, one last round before I drink. And I got Pork Chop Express says, replay gang. Devin, you mentioned Apocalypto, one of my favorites on Wednesday. Have you ever done a streamer? Also, I think the Patriot.
Good.
Apocalypto. I don't know if I can do a stream on it because it's not that deep. You know what I mean?
No blueprint. Yeah.
Anyone that watches it.
Need a blueprint?
No. It makes it difficult. But yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, it's not too deep. It's just look how
Thank you for the help.
primitive
For show, for go.
these people were before the white man showed up.
Yeah, I'm about to hop right back in. Farm some XP.
As far as the Patriot, I mean, there's things I like about the Patriot.
What?
Do you hear me calling you?
But the thing
Why don't you
that
answer me?
always,
What do you want?
I think I did do a stream on it or something. I feel like I
What?
have.
I'm not hungry.
And the
We'll
thing
have it
that'll
tomorrow?
always fucking
Rice?
ruin
Yeah.
that movie for me is the fact that when they are in hiding, they go to like the magical island of black people. You know, where there's like, oh, there's this little Wakanda island. We're all gonna go to, you know, the British will never find us on Wakanda Island. And it's just like, what are we doing? You know? Or just like, or the fact that they had like the black guy you know, on the side of the militia, and they had that whole race story arc, right, where the bigot guy is like, I ain't gonna fight with no niggers, and then by the end of it, he's like, you're my brother, and hopefully someday they ban slavery, and you can vote and stuff. You know, like again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the kind of bullshit shit that they think that boomers thought was going on. Is the stuff that's in the Patriot. They really do think that like there was like some, you know, based black guy fighting in you know with the militia and teaching like life lessons to the racist white guys. Like, well, no, I never knew any niggers myself. But now that I fought with you side by side, you was my brother. You all bleed red. You know, like that's exactly the problem with the boomers. They think that the Patriot is what it was like. And it wasn't like that. Now again, there's good parts. In fact, one of my favorite parts, one of my favorite parts of that movie is after the British kill Mel Gibson's, like in the very beginning of the movie, they kill his son, and then they just leave. And as soon as the British leave, he gets his other two sons, and he gets some guns, and he's like, you know, follow me, and they go and camp out, waiting for the British to go by, so they can you know, kill the officers and free his other son. What's his name? Heath Ledger, right? The whole speech he gives to the two sons, where he's like, you know, basically just he's telling them how to kill. You know, and it's like it's a powerful moment because it's like you think scenario, not necessarily just in the context of revolutionary war, but just war throughout history. When fathers have been put in that situation where you have to tell someone who is your son, who is, you know, very young, like what, you know, in the movie, one of the kids looks like he's like 8, you know, and the other one's like maybe something like that. He's basically instructing them on we are now in a situation where we as a family have to draw blood, and you know, Dad's gonna tell you how to do it. And so like that scene to me was very good. That scene was very good. But you know, like I said, it's not what it was like. You know, the Wakanda Island thing just kind of ruined it. Is it like a relatively harmless family movie? I guess. But again, this is where it's kind of funny. This is where I feel like AI will come in handy in the future. Because you could get a movie like that where it's almost there, right? Like it's almost there. You can go in and you can AI the scenes that are like you can get rid of it on the island, and then like fill it in with something that actually makes sense. Yep.
On Rumble, stream 24/7 with your favorite live streams, videos, live podcasts, and exclusive content. From news and politics to gaming, stock market, never miss a moment. Discover top channels the moment you open the homepage. Scroll your personalized feed to catch every new upload from creators you follow. Then tap into the chat to join the conversation live. Start streaming, chatting, and discovering new content today by downloading the Rumble app.
You know, you'll be able to alter some of these movies to actually make sense. And that's actually not too far away from the future. It's changing a movie in a believable way to where you could actually show it to someone who's never seen it and they won't pick up on it unless they're people that are really paying attention. I feel like that's not that far. I think that's going to be something that's very valuable to us. Is just go back and it would have been good if they not had the anti-white propaganda in there, or the movie that would have been good if it had the obvious Jew element. Like this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for those fucking Jews. Like you could have that scene in there, So I feel like that's something to look forward to. Rocco D2 says,
White power.
Rocco D2 says, you think we make it to another 250? No, wait, nope. I mean, it's possible there's something called the United States in 250 years, but it won't be this. It will not be this. Whatever this is, I don't even know what this is anymore. But whatever this is, it is not long for this earth. It's really not. It's like I said in the beginning of the stream about the saguaro cactus transplanting, not knowing if you did a good job or not, because it takes years to die. It's going to take a long time, and it's not like a straight down linear, like anything, right? Like any company that goes out of business, or very rarely. I guess that can happen if you have like extreme kinetic energy going on, like you get bombed out of existence or something like that. But I don't think that's how this ship goes down. Maybe. I guess there's scenarios where that's plausible, but I don't. At least not. That's nothing that's easy to predict right now. I see it more like a slow death. But yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not Rocco D2, but thank you very much. Then we got Tyler W05 says, for whatever reason, Rumble, or actually first Tyler W05. We already did that.
5 minutes left. Go find your way home. I repeat, 5 minutes.
Oldie but goodie. Tyler W05 says, for whatever reason, Rumble wouldn't let me send a chat last stream. Hope all is well, just giving support. This fourth is extra depressing with all the flock cameras pointed at us. Yeah, I feel like that's another obstacle, but I also feel like it's also with these problems also comes opportunity, because the more they rely on digital systems, as much as it makes certain it changes the game, it doesn't end the game. It just changes the game, and it means that we have to be nimble and adapt to it. But I feel like, especially as the ruling class becomes less white and less confident and more reliant on technology. But yeah, certainly the technology will be good. They'll have access to better, more expensive technology. But their reliance on technology is going to make them weak. And these systems always have soft spots, and we can always turn this shit against them. So, just as an example, you talk about flock cameras. Just their security on the actual cameras that they go out and deploy, that people have hacked those already easily with a phone. Like you can just go up to a flock camera and basically, in a sense, log into it and view its data. And people have done that. And I'm sure, look, all this stuff is new for them too, and they'll have to patch it and stuff. just as the system gets more and more complex, it also creates more and more vulnerabilities. And so we'll just have to get better at finding exploits and fighting. It's not a game ender though at all. The surveillance state doesn't end things. It just changes things. It just means you have to be aware of their capabilities and the weaknesses that every system has. All right, No Land Findley says, hello, Devin. When was the last time you saw a $2 bill? I see one all the time because I have one in my wallet for money. My grandpa.
2 minutes left.
I think he would give us and all the grandkids $2 bills like all the time. And I think he was just being cheap because it was obviously a cheap way of giving a kid something kind of cool. So, they still, I'm assuming they still make them. I think you can still get them. Are you a colonizer? Says text. Well, that worked. And then are you a colonizer? Said with a big dono.
Money is power. Money is the only weapon that the Jew has to defend himself with.
Look how Jewy this fag is. Are you a colonizer? Says I sent you a PM on Gab. All right, well, I'll take a look at it. But if this is about your wanting to start, that I know, I think I know what your PM, your DM is going to be about, right? It's about like calling ourselves colonizers because we're going to colonize the stars and this sort of thing. Look, I don't think it's the worst idea. I just don't know. I don't think that's like a torch I want to carry, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not against it. I like, because like I've said, well, and I apparently got shit for it. I think, like I was saying on Outlaws on Wednesday, I think we are going to colonize Mars and things like that. I mean, it's like way in the future. I'd like to see it, but yeah, I think that we're going to expand. Either that will go extinct, or it's one or the other. Either you will expand out and eventually move out into the unknown, as we've always done, or we will go extinct. It's one of those two things.
Terrible.
So I get it, but I don't know about turning it into like a philosophy, or a movement or something like that. I'll take a look at it. I'll check it out. And thank you very much for the big support there.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm technically.
As far as I can remote.
My family, my ancestors are 100% colonizers. Professor Chaos says, "Happy Independence Day, Devin." I'll catch the replay. Well, I appreciate that. The Shadow Band says, "Would you say the Anglo people should act as a unified diaspora people like the Jews do? Is that even possible given our nature?" No, I don't think it's possible. I mean, it'd be great. It's just that, well, for one, in America especially. Well, let's find out actually. A lot of Americans. The stock market. Okay, it might be kind of Jewy. We got the Dutch East India Company involved. So the Dutch East India Company was the first, I think.
How you doing, Tom?
Fine.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
My wife just turned 74. I'll turn 74. None of us have.
You're going to be up here all night, right?
So the first modern stock market where investors could buy and sell shares in companies rather than just government debt or promissory notes emerged in Amsterdam in the early 1600s. The Dutch government chartered the Dutch East India Company. It was the world's first publicly traded joint stock company with limited liability. To finance expensive, risky voyages to Asia for spices and other goods, the VOC sold shares to the public. This is widely regarded as the first blah, 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 blah. Who did it though? Might just be the Dutch.
That all comes down to this key aspect of your biology, and most doctors have no idea about it. Instead of following the blanket advice doctors give to everybody, you need to figure out which gut type you are and start from there. That's when you can start to notice some big changes in your health. If you feel sluggish, bloated, or gassy after eating, if you struggled with consistent weight gain, or if you feel
I don't know. But even I guess ancient Rome had some kind of form of it, where you could buy shares in public contractor companies. And then Italy, medieval Italy had similar things going on in Venice. And then looks like I don't know if this is like a Jew thing, but maybe there were obviously there were Dutch Jews involved in finance, so who knows? I don't know. I'll look into it. Finance has never been my strong suit. All right, Purple Catmint says, "Hey Devin, I was reading up on a place called Freedom, Georgia, a black community put together by 19 black families. Pretty funny stuff. And then there is Brooklyn, Illinois. Same idea. Hilarious. All right, I'll look into that. So are you talking about like this is like the black Return of the Lamb? Return of the Nig. Return of the Niggins. Take a look at that. Randall Flagg says, Devin, I know your feelings about religion, but it seems women who leave the LDS become massive whores. This seems on brand across several thousands of examples. Why is this gross behavior so prevalent? Well, I think what it is two things. One, it's selection bias to some extent. Is it that girls that leave the LDS church become whores, or is it that whores leave the church? You know what I mean? And so there's a little bit of that going on, and then the other bit of that is it's something I witnessed, right, with other Mormons that left the church, right, that were other Mormons that I would see at parties, right, and I'd be like, oh, you're drinking. And it wasn't just the girls becoming quote unquote whores, it was everyone just became degenerates, including myself. And that's because when you grow up in a very restrictive household where even drinking a Coke is a naughty thing to do, and you grow up in a environment like at school and everywhere else you go, like no one else has all these fucking rules that you have. The second you get out of the house, you go and break all the rules you've been like itching to break, and sometimes people go off the deep end with that, and that's what I saw. Like, and I think girls are no different, right? Like I became like a massive pothead and was like getting fucking hammered all the time, and girls became whores. Like there was a couple girls I knew where that happened. So I don't think it's like Mormons make whores. It's just like, no, the people that leave are people that were overly restricted and they kind of go apeshit. It's like my mom bought this Pekingese fucking dog. Ridiculous fucking dog. And it had been kept in a little tiny cage its entire life. And she took it home and open up the cage, and the thing just would run laps around the house like an insane, like a demon. And it never settled down. And it's because it was kept pent up in that fucking cage for so long that the second it had like a taste of freedom, it just went crazy. Super annoying dog. But anyway, I think it's a similar thing. You know, if you don't give people a little bit of wiggle room, when they finally bust out of your grip, you know, they kind of go crazy. Let's see here. Then we got Purple Catmint says, I think it would make for a very funny stream if you cover these communities, and I believe that there are a few more, but I haven't looked at them. The black communities. Yeah, I'm sure it's ridiculous. There have been a few more. Battle Flag says, I'm not a founding stock American, but my German family has been here for 200 years. I recently found out I'm distantly related to Peter Thiel, though my great-grandmother, which is worse than being Jewish. Well, I don't know if it's worse than being Jewish, but, you know, maybe you can get some of his money. You should email him and be like, hey, hook me up with some of that money. Drof Wark says, I only do business with small businesses owned and staffed by white people now. Well, that's good. That's something that you can do right now. And look, it's funny because there's so many people, white people that want to complain all day about the nepotism of Jews, but you ask them to be just a little bit nepotistic, and they fucking cry about it. You know, they call you, they think, oh, you're purity spiraling. It's like, all right, well then lose. Lose to the Jews. Lose to the Jews. Well, you think it's purity spiraling to stick to your race? When you're trying to have a pro-white movement? To not want like a gay Mexican in it? You think that's like, oh, that's purity spiraling, is it? Really? Show me all the non-Jews that are in charge of Jewish NGOs telling Jews what to do. Oh, it doesn't exist, does it? Yeah, because race comes first, which is why they're winning. And you know, if race doesn't come first to you, then you're not a white nationalist. You're just not. You're a CivNet. All right, whatever. Just don't kid yourself. And that's the same thing. Like, there's so many people that can't be bothered. They can't be bothered to spend like an extra $1 or, you know, something like that. Like, there's all, you have to be practical. If you've got a family, you got to raise, you know, it's not easy out there to make it financially. I get it, right? Not everyone can sit there and make sure they're only buying everything from only white people all the time, but make the effort. Make the effort to avoid these anti-white companies, and to don't fucking hire illegals to mow your lawn. You know, don't fucking hire illegals to retile your bathroom. Like, there's some of you that are just actively funding this shit, and I get it. I get the temptation, but look, if we can't even have, you know, the fucking restraint, then how do you expect some normie to? But good job there, Droff work. Then we got Bobby Ray says, there are 195 million white people currently in America alone. If every white person donated just $1 a month, very quickly we could get finance to make changes. Just a thought I had. No, absolutely. Like, that's the thing, is if you had a and look, that's how Jews do it. That's how a lot of religious organizations do it, right? Like, Mormons have tithing, where every Mormon's paying 10% of their income, well, not every Mormon, but like a lot of Mormons, directly to the church. And now they've got like billions and billions and billions of dollars, like billions. I mean, how much money does the fucking Vatican have? You know what I mean? And maybe that's the problem, is there is no white religion that ties us all together, where that can serve as like the hub for something like that. And you're going to have to create white NGOs. And that's the way it's going to have to be. You're going to have competently run, explicitly pro-white advocacy groups that can be like the white ADL. I think the need for that, I know there's no political solution, right? But it doesn't mean that you ignore the political realities of the present either. And as we become more and more disenfranchised and replaced in our countries, you're going to need some kind of advocacy groups. So I'm hoping to see more of that. I think we're seeing the beginnings of that. And yeah, it's not like there's not enough white wealth. There is. It's just not being put to work. Banana Pilled says freedom is a Jew ideology. Jews were tired of being persecuted for their Jewish behavior under the crown, and they participated in the pilgrimage, creating the country we have through free man apparatus they created. The freedom is gay. Obviously, I'm dumbing this down a lot to fit in the limited character. Then you say Freemasons. Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about Freemasonry to know the ins and outs of that, but I know it played a role, obviously. All the founding fathers were Freemasons, or at least a lot of them were. I mean, I don't think it's as much these days a thing. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but yeah, I'm not like I'm not well versed in Freemason history. It's funny because, like, obviously, I think Joseph Smith, I'm pretty sure, was a Freemason, and there's a lot of people that think that like every Mormon's a Freemason.
Never
pushed
to achieve more and go above and beyond the generation before you. I think it's very white in nature, or in our nature as whites, to want to progress beyond what everyone before us has done. And so yeah, there's obviously, like, you could say, maybe a better question would be, is there like some time period you prefer to live in? And the problem is like, you'd have to be able to hit the pause button for me to even answer that, because if you say, well, the 1950s would be great, all right, well, maybe, but then you're going to live through the 1960s, and then, you can't just be the 1950s for, you can't just live 1955 on a loop, you know what I mean? And so even if you were able to regress somehow back to some other time period, you're going to see change. I don't hate that I was born in this time period. There's a lot of good about it. There's also some shitty things, like the saying that you were born too early or too late to explore the world and born too early to explore the stars. I think about that sometimes, where I do have that explorer gene in me, where it sounds very romantic, going into the newly discovered continent of America, like Lewis and Clark, right? Just I don't know, what's the being the first white person to find the Grand Canyon and just going, what the fuck is this, or being the first white person to see Yellowstone or any of these sites that are just very unique to this land, and being the first white person to experience that sounds like really cool. Or obviously being the first white person to like take a dump on Mars, or something like that. That'd be really cool, but like neither one of those can happen anymore, or can happen for me. Let's see here. Then we got the Great Wahite says, my hope is that the Jews have created a non-white golem that feels no loyalty to them and will turn around and eat them. Not that we need nuns, I just think that would be nice. Well, I mean, to some extent they've kind of done that. And I think just generally that sort of applies to most nuns, not all nuns. There's some, I mean, Indians seem like weirdly slavish to the Jews. But there are a lot of nuns that don't care about Jews or the Holocaust, and in fact, they view Israel as, as colonizers. Crosset has a big dodo.
Money is power. Money is the only weapon that the Jew has to defend himself with.
Look how Jewy this fag is. Crosset with the big dono says, have you ever looked into the Jewish origins of public companies and stock trading? Seems like a net loss for society, profits above everything, planned obsolescence, only to benefit a few at the top. What do you mean, like the concept of the stock market and stuff like that? That's existed for a long time. I don't know who, I don't know what the origins are. I have done some on planned obsolescence. I don't know if it was like a whole stream or part of a different stream, and there are a couple Jewish hands in that. I have to look into the stock market. But yeah, look, obviously that's the problem is capitalism. In a society that is multiracial and amoral to some extent, and lacks any kind of certainly, I guess, solidarity among each other, or any kind of responsibility to your fellow American, because what does American mean? Do you mean American as in like the black guy that just raped some white girl? Do you mean American as in some illegal immigrant? Do you mean American as in like Kash Patel? Do you mean American as in J.D. Vance's wife? Do you mean American as in, Trump or Jeff Bezos? Or, you know what I mean? Like, and so if you're one of these psychopaths that run these companies, you're ultimately, every decision you make is just motivated by money. And it's not about like, what's this going to do to the American people? You know what I mean? So in that context, capitalism just creates these evils. But yeah, thank you very much, Crosshat. I'll look into it. I don't know the concept of a stock market, like I said, is very old. So I don't know that was, well, let's find out actually. Let's look. Stock market. Okay, it might be kind of Jewy. We got the Dutch East India Company involved. So the Dutch East India Company was the first, I think, so the first modern stock market where investors could buy and sell shares in companies rather than its government debt or promissory notes emerged in Amsterdam in the early 1600s. The Dutch government chartered the Dutch East India Company as the world's first joint stock company with limited to finance expensive, risky voyages to Asia for spices and other goods. The VOC sold shares to the public. This is widely regarded as the first blah blah blah. Who did it? Might just be the duck. Yeah, I don't know. But even, I guess, ancient Rome had some kind of form of it. Where you could buy shares in public contractor companies. And then Italy, medieval Italy, had similar things going on.
Rediscover trust with Rumble Cloud. No vendor lock-in, no hidden fees. Just your business in the cloud on your terms.
Down in Venice, and then looks like yeah, I don't know if this is like a Jew thing, but maybe obviously there were Dutch Jews involved in finance, so who knows. I don't know. I'll look into it. Finance has never been my strong suit. All right, Purple Catnip says, "Hey Devin, I was reading up on a place called Freedom, Georgia, a black community put together by 19 black families. Pretty funny stuff. And then there is Brooklyn, Illinois. Same idea. Hilarious. Yeah, I'll look into that. So what are you talking about? Like this is like the Black Return of the Lamb? Return of the Nig. Return of the Niggins. Take a look at that. Randall Flagg says, Devin, I know your feelings about religion, but it seems women who leave the LDS become massive whores. This seems on brand across several thousands of examples. Why is this gross behavior so prevalent? Well, I think what it is two things. One, it's selection bias to some extent. Is it that girls that leave the LDS church become whores, or is it that whores that leave the church? You know what I mean? And so there's a little bit of that going on, and then the other bit of that is it's something I witnessed, right, with other Mormons that left the church, right? That were other Mormons that I would see at parties, right? And like, oh, you're drinking. It wasn't just the girls becoming quote unquote whores. It was everyone just became degenerates, including myself. And that's because you grow up in a very restrictive household where even drinking a Coke is a naughty thing to do. And you grow up in an environment like at school and everywhere else you go, like no one else has all these fucking rules that you have. The second you get out of the house, you go and break all the rules. And sometimes people go off the deep end with that. And that's what I saw. Like, and I think, girls are no different, right? Like, I became like a massive pothead and was like getting fucking hammered all the time. And girls became whores, like there was a couple girls I knew where that happened. So I don't think it's, like Mormons make whores. It's just like, no, the people that leave are people that were overly restricted and kind of go apeshit. It's like my mom bought this Pekingese fucking dog, ridiculous fucking dog, and it had been kept in a little tiny cage its entire life, and she took it home and opened up the cage, and the thing just would run laps around the house like an insane, like a demon. And it never settled down. And it's because it was kept pent up in that fucking cage for so long that the second it had like a taste of freedom, it just went crazy. Super annoying dog. But anyway, I think it's a similar thing. If you don't give people a little bit of wiggle room, when they finally bust out of your grip, you know, you're gonna go crazy. Let's see here. Then we got Purple Catmint says, I think if you would make for a really, I think it would make for a very funny stream if you cover these communities. And I believe that there are a few more. I haven't looked at the black communities. Yeah, I'm sure it's ridiculous. There have been a few more. Randall Flag says, I'm not a founding stock American, but my German family has been here for 200 years. I recently found out I'm listening to Peter Thiel. Though my great-grandmother, which is worse than being Jewish. Well, I don't know if it's worse than being Jewish, but you know, maybe you can get some of his money. You should email him and be like, some of that money. Drof Wart says, I only do business with small businesses owned and staffed by white people now. Well, that's good. And that's something that you can do right now. And look, it's funny because there's so many people, white people that want to complain all day about the nepotism of Jews, but you ask them to be just a little bit nepotistic, and they fucking cry about it. You know, they call you, they think, oh, you're purity spiraling. It's like, all right, well then lose. Lose to the Jews. Lose to the Jews. Well, you think it's purity spiraling to stick to your race? When you're trying to have a pro-white movement? Not want like a gay Mexican in it? You think that's like, oh, that's purity spiraling, is it? Really? Show me all the non-Jews that are in charge of Jewish NGOs telling Jews what to do. Oh, it doesn't exist, does it? Yeah, because race comes first, which is why they're winning. And no, if race doesn't come first to you, then you're not a white nationalist. You're just not. You're a civnet. All right, whatever. Just don't kick yourself. And that's the same thing. Like, there's so many people that can't be bothered. They can't be bothered to spend like an extra dollar. Or something like that. Like, look, there's all. You have to be practical. If you've got a family, you got to raise. You know, it's not easy out there to make it financially. I get it, right? Not everyone can sit there and make sure they're only buying everything from only white people all the time, but make the effort. Make the effort to avoid these anti-white companies and to don't fucking hire illegals to mow your lawn. You know, don't fucking hire illegals to retile your bathroom. Like, there's some of you that are just actively funding this shit. And I get it. I get the temptation. But look, we can't even have the fucking restraint. Then how do you expect some money to? But good job there, Drop Ward. Then we got Bobby Ray says, there are 195 million white people currently in America alone. If every white person donated just $1 a month, very quickly we could get finance to make changes. Just a thought. No, absolutely. Like, that's the thing, is if you had a and look, that's how Jews do it. That's how a lot of religious organizations do it, right? Like Mormons have tithing, where every Mormon's paying 10% of their income. Well, not every Mormon, but like a lot of Mormons, directly to the church. Now they've got like billions and billions and billions of dollars, like billions. I mean, how much money does the fucking Vatican have? You know what I mean? And maybe that's the problem is there is no white woman that ties us all together. That can serve as like the hub for something like that. And you're gonna have to create. That's the way it's gonna have to be. You're gonna have competently run, explicitly pro-white advocacy groups that can be like the white ADL. I think the need for that, there's no political solution, right? But more the realities of the become more and more disenfranchised and replaced in our countries, you're going to need some kind of advocacy groups. So I'm hoping to see more of that. I think we're seeing the beginnings of it.
Rumble Studio is the answer to everything. We have a show on the hour every hour. And we started using Rumble Studio as our central production hub. We can have people all over the country streaming in at a specific time, and it's got this smooth transition from one show to the other. But that's not all, folks. That's just the beginning. There's an a la carte of sponsors to choose from to get paid while you're streaming. See you on Rumble Studio.
And yeah, there's no, there is, it's just not being. Banana Pill says freedom is a Jew ideology. Jews were tired of being persecuted for their Jewish behavior under the crown, and they participated in the pilgrimage, creating the country we have through free man apparatus. They created. The freedom is gay. Obviously, I'm dumbing this down a lot to fit so Freemasons. Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about Freemasonry to know all the ins and outs of that, but I know it played a role, obviously. All the founding fathers were Freemasons, or at least a lot of them were. A lot. I mean, I don't think it's as much these days. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but yeah, I'm not like I'm not well versed in Freemason history. There's some. It's funny because like I think Joseph Smith, I'm pretty sure was a Freemason, and there's a lot of people that think that every Mormon's a Freemason. There are Mormon Freemasons. So my mom, when she was a little girl, it was either my mom or her mom, I forget. This story was told me so many years ago now, but it doesn't, it's the same either way. But their church was either burned down or something happened to it. Like it either burned down or like, I think it burned down. And so their church met like a Masonic lodge for free, just not because they were all Masons, but there was obviously some Mason had connections, right, for them to meet there while they finished the repairs to the building. I don't see a lot of Masonic lodges these days. There's that big one in D.C. that looks really like eyes wide shut, creepy. There's like no windows and stuff like that. But the Masonic lodges I do see occasionally are like shitty little buildings. Like there's nothing really. I don't think they're what they're used to be. But maybe who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Rivers of Blood says, Devin, your customer service job reminded me of how our family's first computer was a Gateway 2000 machine loaded with Windows 3.0. Good times. Yeah, Gateway 2000. That's like early Gateway. That was before me. By the time I was working there, they were just Gateway. And then that was the beginning. They dropped the 2000 because it was, well, probably because it was after the 2000, right? So, then we got the Shogun. Says /appreciate that. Then the Shadow Band says, by the way, you're a bee guy. You send your bees around to help pollinate various crops. I do not, because they are Africanized. And so I would be spreading Africanized bees all over the country. That would just be dangerous. And they wouldn't even stay. So when they ship beehives, they usually what they do is they throw these big nets over the hives, and they put the hives on pallets, stick them on pallets and put big nets on them and lift them with forklifts onto big trucks, and these trucks just have like hives covered in nets stacked up on them. And you'll lose a few hives, but generally they'll hang out inside the hive until the next door is gone. And Afronized bees would not do that. The second that you try to like lift their hive with a forklift, they'll crawl out of No. In fact, there was a guy. There is some agriculture out there, and there's a guy that's got an orchard here that's not super far. And I tried to get him to let me use his property to put bees on, with that argument, saying that it's free pollination. I just need a place to put these hives, and I'm sure there's parts of the property where like no one's going to be walking by, so it's not like dangerous, but. They are Afronized bees, so just don't go by them. But you've got a big plot here, and you won't have any problems. Good for me, good for you. And he's like, no. Okay, all right. So it's been a little tough to get people to let me put bees in, because I can't lie. I can't be like, oh yeah, they're nice bees. Because then. They have to know that don't go by the big death machines. But the second you start explaining, and I try to do it in a way that doesn't sound scary, but like, people are pussies. I mean, I have hives literally like outside where I'm, like my building. I walk by like an Afronized hive all the time. For the most part, they don't fuck with you. It's not until you go and fuck with their hive that they get mad. Corn Pop the Bad Dude says, have you or anyone here been in the Gateway school program